Good afternoon. Hope you all enjoyed your weekend in Maine as much as I did. Tomorrow in New York, I'll outline tough new laws. More than 100 days ago, I asked Congress to appropriate additional money to equip our armed forces and strengthen security at our airports. 4 months later, the Department of Defense and the new Transportation Security Administration are still waiting for the money. And they'll run out of operating funds maybe as soon as this week. Congress simply must fund our troops while they're fighting a war. And Congress must provide the funds to improve security at our airports. Further delay is intolerable. Congress has got to act. And Congress should act to make us less dependent on foreign sources of energy. It's time for the Senate to act in an equally responsive manner. Let me start by telling you that I think by far the vast majority of CEOs in America are good, honorable, honest people who have nothing to hide and are willing to let the true facts speak for themselves. It's the few that have created the stains that we must deal with. And tomorrow I'm going to talk about some specifics, and I'd rather kind of save those for tomorrow. But let me just put it to you this way. We'll vigorously pursue people who break the law. It's important legislation. It must keep a tight hand on taxpayers' money.
Did you favor that? Were you involved?
Mike, you need to look back on the director's minutes. But all I can tell you is that in the corporate world, sometimes things aren't exactly black and white when it comes to accounting procedures. And the SEC's job is to look and is to determine whether or not the decision by the auditors was the appropriate decision. And they did look, and they decided that earnings ought to be restated, and the company did so immediately upon the SEC's finding. Yeah, I know that this is an election year. First, let me take on the notion that people love to play politics. He said the Democrats are going to attack me based upon Harkin. That's nothing new. That happened in 1994. I can't remember if it happened in 1998 or not. It happened in 2000. I mean, this is recycled stuff before they all go home to campaign. The agenda is full. The time is short.
Are you going to find Osama bin Laden before the first anniversary, September?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's about Osama bin Laden. We hadn't heard from him in a long time. I don't know if the man's living or the man's dead. But one thing is for certain, the war on terror is a lot bigger than one person. And as I told the American people, this is going to be a long struggle. And we're making good progress. Markets were roaring, capital was everywhere, and people forgot their responsibilities. I recognize there's speculation out there, but people shouldn't speculate about the desire of the government to have a regime change. And there's different ways to do it.
How involved are you in the planning, sir? We know that you meet with General Franks, you meet with Rumsfeld to talk about this. How involved are you?
I'm involved. I mean, I'm involved in military planning, diplomatic planning, financial planning, all aspects of reviewing all the tools at my disposal. And but in my remarks to the American people, I remind them I'm a patient person, and but I do firmly believe that the world will be safer and more peaceful if there's a regime change in that government. And we're making good progress. We're rounding people up slowly but surely.